Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Random Crafty Acts, or welcome if you've never been here before. I'm Barb, and this is a part of a series on a big mask making project that I'm doing. I was just gonna try to do this and then, I don't know, try something different in explaining it, but I thought I'd try to bring you up to date on what has happened since the last video. So in the previous video, I did a bunch of ink blending. Let's see, I look at these first. Yeah, I know those are enticing. Okay, so I did a bunch of ink blending and watercoloring, and I decided I wanted something on there other than what was giving me just this, okay? And I have what's called a background stamp. All right. And it makes these little leaves, and I thought, well, that would be great. And you use a stamping platform, which you'll see me use here in just a moment, if we can try to get it to work. But a problem kept coming up, and as you can see, how like the ink didn't take in spots, which at first I thought it was the stamp, but I don't think it was. And then I thought it was the ink because, as I've said in a couple previous videos, my ink pads are a little dry. But I got out just a plain piece of paper, and I used, some archival ink, and I know that this pad is well inked because I use it for something else. And the first thing I noticed is that as long as it was on this paper, it seemed to be doing well. So I think it might have something to do with the way the ink I was using and the stamp and the watercolor paper. So what I'm going to try, I've got 2, 3, 4. I'm going to try, this is 65-pound white cardstock, which is thinner than what I use for my card bases. For card bases, I use 110-pound. So I'm going to try to move fairly quickly through this. And instead of trying to watercolor on it, I'm going to ink blend one. And then we'll try the stamp and see if that works. If you're only going to do one, Barb, why are you cutting so many? Well, because if you use these all the time and you're going to the trouble to cut a couple, you just need to do a bunch, because you'll be happy you did. Okay, so some of the flowers I'm working with are, I'm going to go ahead and get I don't want to get the green out because I want to put black on there. So let me pause the video while I make up my mind. Okay, here's what we're going to try. I'm going to try ink blending in on this using that vermilion that's in the archival ink. And then I will use the peeled paint on the stamp, and we'll see what happens. Okay, experimenting is a part of the process, okay? And you discover a lot of things when you do that. One of the things I've discovered is what I like to do and what I don't like to do. There's my air conditioner. And yes, I have some things that have turned out really well that I just decided I didn't like. One of the things, for example, that a lot of people do, and you'll see on a lot of card making videos, is heat embossing. And I will be the first to admit that it is a beautiful, a really, really, really beautiful result. It's glossy, it's silvery, it's gold. It stands up on the paper. You work with a stamp and the heat and a special kind of ink, and then you actually take your heat tool and all of that, and you have to use this heat embossing powder, and I have yet to figure out a way to do that without it ending up all over the place. Okay, so I'm really darkening these edges. On the other hand, you can only get good at something by doing it. So if you're going to tackle something like heat embossing, or a certain kind of stamping, or die cutting, or any of the other wonderful techniques that are out there, if you're going to do that, then you have to commit to practicing, and that means that from time to time you're going to throw things away, maybe, or cut them down and try to do something else. Okay, this is a stamping platform. There are lots of different ones of these, and the one that is the most commonly, you most commonly hear about, is called a MISTI. Okay, and again, the one I have here was inexpensive. I have another one that I paid pretty big dollars for, but can you do this without a stamping platform? Yes, you can. You can put your stamp on an acrylic block like this, line it up, and punch it down on there after you ink it up. And that works as long as you don't have to impress it more than once. I'm just doing this because I'm figuring I'm going to have to stamp more than once, which you will see in just a momento as to why I use this. Okay. Now we're going to try the peeled paint because it's green. And if it doesn't work, we're going to use, I'm going to put the black on it, and that will work. Okay, so the first thing you do is the stamp side you want down on the paper. Okay, now these stamps also come in clear, and that's what a lot of people use now. Right, then you press that down. Voila, see, now it's stuck over here. This stays here, this is here, and this is where the work comes in, because this is a lot of area to stamp. But notice that where we really need it is out here in the middle, because that outside edge would end up on the paper. But I'm just really committed to getting a good image, and it's kind of hard to tell if I've inked it enough. When we were looking, and my husband was helping me look at my results, we were in fact trying to figure out if it's the stamp, which I don't think it is. I really think it's the watercolor paper, but it could also be the ink itself. The ink is just the ink pads aren't quite wet enough. All right, so now you press this down. This you can buy these. My fist worked really well. Okay, and it's sliding around on the glass. And the other thing to remember is you can give it a hot minute here to actually soak into the paper. Okay. All right, so what I'm seeing is here we need more ink, and this is where the advantage comes in, because we can ink this again, we can press it down again, and since nothing has moved, and what I'm also looking at is on this stamp, places where it looks like the ink got picked up and where the ink didn't get picked up. Okay. And the archival ink should not be interacting with this other archival ink. Okay, it should be, one shouldn't be like trying to change the color of the other. Okay. All right, and then we still have, where is that? Okay, so notice that I've been able to do this like 3 times now. I'm going to stand up and give it a press. You know, and the issue here could also be that it's one of these thick red rubber stamps, which instead of one of the clear ones, and at some point probably before this is over, there we go. Much better. And we were getting, there's just a slight piece there, and since I'm heading for perfection here, there we go. Wow. Okay, so the conclusion is it was probably watercolor paper, because this has worked really well. All right. I'm very happy with that. Probably not on camera, but I will definitely be making several of those. And if we look at one of these tags that I've already gotten made with the right color palette, that makes a nice interesting background for that. Okay. All right. The next step would be to clean this stamp up, which I will do. I'll take a baby wipe, and I use baby wipes because I buy them at the Dollar Tree, and I get a whole package of them for not very much. And clean this stamp up, and I can work on that again later to make some more. Okay. All right, I'm gonna pause the video so we can try one other, maybe not. The other thing that I do want to try is a stencil. Okay, but I need to create some other backgrounds, which I will probably do off camera. Okay, that makes this a very short video, but that should be okay. I'm gonna pause. Okay. While I was away, while you were away, I did another red one, and I was going to let you watch me do a yellow one because, as you know, I've been having a terrible time finding a yellow, and I kept digging around in what I've got, and this one is called Potato Chip. I'm going to flip it and do the other side because I don't like that I got a, well, the square doesn't really, yeah, the square shows. I don't like that. When you're doing this, you have to be careful where you put your fingers, because not just that you get ink on your fingers, but that you get your ink marks. Okay. I saw something that told me I could try it that way. So I'm assuming this is a little wetter than, though I know the archival dries pretty quickly. All right, so let's try this since we just did that. Magnificent. And notice I saved my tape because you can use it over and over. I just want to get that straight. Okay, here we go. That's not really good for these pads. You can see that by doing that, I'm kind of wearing it around the edges, but I'm getting very frustrated in trying to figure out how to get enough ink on this stamp. I think there's a method where you use a gel plate and put paint all over it and then use a brayer and rub it on here, or even okay, get this out of the way. Oh wow, look how much better that came out. It could also be that where is that? That's right here. Also could be that the stamp itself needs to be conditioned. Nope. Could be just that, something about that one spot. I think I was having trouble with that on the other one. Yep. There's something about that spot right there. We may just have to put the happy summer word on top of that. Okay. Yay, look at that. I could make it darker up there, but I'm good. Okay, I'm not. All right. Okay, so in the next video, we will probably decorate those. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these, especially since I have the spots that just didn't take. But we will figure out what we're going to do. I'll probably do another yellow one, stamp the red one and the yellow one off video, and then we'll put the cards together. So we're building up another set so that we can increase the number that we've got. I think we're at 14, and we need to hit 30 if I've done my count right. All right. Thank you for being here. If you haven't already subscribed, please click on the subscribe button. That helps me push this video out to Operation Gratitude, so that if people are looking for mask making tips, they'll stumble across Operation Gratitude and find that as a place that they could donate their cards. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I always check the comments to see if there's anything there or anything you want to know. And click the thumbs up to give me a like if you can. All right. Thank you very much.